Hey folks, this is Gene from Regular Guy Mountain Biking, and on today's bike check, we'll be checking out the Cube Fritzz. Hey folks, this is Gene from Regular Guy Mountain Biking, where we talk about all kinds of cool things that have to do with mountain bikes, as well as home of the Regular Guy Mountain Biking Bike Chat Show. In this virtual bike check, we're talking to my friend Alex, and we're checking out his Cube Fritzz. Is that correct, my friend Alex?
That is correct, yeah, my Cube Fritzz.
All right. So there's a couple cool factors about today's bike check. Number one, Alex is from the UK. So, this is pretty freaking cool that I'm checking out this guy's bike, and he's on the other side of the freaking world over here, basically. You know, I mean, I don't think you can really do that too many other ways. So that's a pretty cool factor right there, right? We never would have met and got to talk to each other if it wasn't for YouTube and this silly channel I'm trying to put together over here. So kudos for that, right?
Absolutely.
The next cool thing about it is, honestly, Alex, I have no idea what the hell a Cube Fritzz is. So now I'm not the bike authority over here, so that basically means nothing. But what I wanted to ask really is, we'll get into it and stuff like that, but is it a UK, because again, you know, Alex is based in the UK, is that a UK brand Cube, or is it Cube Fritzz, or is it Cube and it's the Fritz, like Trek Remedy, or what?
That's it, man. Exactly, yeah. Okay. So Cube is the manufacturer, and then Fritz is the model. And okay. Cube are a German manufacturer.
Okay. All right, gotcha. So are they popular over in your neck of the woods? They could even be popular here, to be honest with you. Again, I'm not I'm regular guy, hence regular guy. But I'm just I'm interested in this because I took a look at it. Your bike looks very much enduro based.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That's it. Yeah.
All
so
right.
Cube they're a relatively big brand. You know, they've been growing for quite a few years, I'd say. They've got a really good enduro team. Greg Callahan, I think, came second at the last EWS race they did in Tasmania.
Nice.
So, you know, they've got great publicity through that and everything.
So technically, the name of this bike, though, is the 180 HPA race. So is that 180? Is that referencing the suspension, the travel?
It is.
Wow,
yeah,
that's a lot of travel. Damn.
Front and rear. Yeah.
In the front, you got 180?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Crud, dude. Yeah, because I watched one of your. You have a folks. Just so real quick, so I don't forget this, because I don't want to forget this, because one of the reasons why I was doing this is to help promote everybody else. Alex's YouTube channel. It'll be a link. It's called Bear Biking UK. There'll be a link to it, and you know, but you can type that in. But I was watching some of his videos. Number one, the dude can freaking bunny hop. I'm so jealous of you when you're bunny hopping. I'm gonna put that video up of you bunny hopping as well. But first, when I watched you bunny hop, first I took a look at the pictures of this guy's bike, and I'm like, okay, an enduro-based kind of bike. And then I saw the titles of your videos, bunny hopping. I'm like, how the F is this guy picking this bike up over these things? You got another bike you use for that. It's a red bike.
Yeah.
It's a more of a street bike, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Because I saw that title, and I'm like, that's a lot of bike to bunny hop. So this is, and then, but I think one of your last videos, which is some of the video I'll show on this, is you hauling down the hill, and I could tell just by the bike, and then in your video tags it had Fritz, so I knew that it had to be like this. Gotcha. All right, cool.
That's it.
All right, so let's talk about this bike over here for a minute. This is an enduro bike, as we mentioned a couple times. So is that what you're into? And because again, like I talked on Brian's last video, one of the things I like to do is put the bike into context. If this bike I don't think would be a great bike for someone, and then you're gonna prove me right or wrong, for regular trail riding. You got 180 millimeters of travel. So I want to make sure people understand what Alex does with this bike, so when you tell people about the parts, we know why you like them that way.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So it's enduro based, but it's very much at the high end of suspension travel. So I don't think many of the guys who race EWS would have a bike with this much travel. I just picked it because I thought it would be more akin to sort of doing a bit of everything. Like I can run downhill trails on it. But the most incredible thing is that I can still pedal this thing up hills. So I can go to a trail center and do some amazing climbs on it, and it doesn't really seem to affect the performance, which I find fantastic, really.
So, folks, as you know, just from Brian's video, the last one I did, I'm looking at Alex's notes and pictures, so I am totally paying attention to everything he's saying. But to the point where I have his shock in focus right now? Because you said you could pedal. Generally, one of the issues with pedaling a bike with a lot of travel, or a full suspension bike in general, is pedal bob. That's what kind of makes it tough. So that's why I was looking. You've got a Float X. So let's talk about that for a second, because that's really the moneymaker right there. I mean, if you're able to pedal this thing up a hill, of course the front is sucking up some too, but the back is usually where it soaks down. You lock that out. What does that thing have to make this work?
Yeah, dude. So on the rear shock, they've got 3 settings. So I think it's climb, trail, and descend.
Okay.
So when you put it into climb mode, it just stiffens it up a lot. So it doesn't completely lock it off. Then obviously trail gives you a bit more freedom. And then descend is just, full blown. That's it. You're ready to go.
Okay. My bike has that too, but yours really must be doing a hell of a job, because, I mean, that's a lot of travel. I mean, honestly, really, when I saw the 180, I was borderline looking for a coil in there.
Yeah, man.
Right? Yeah, all right. Now, did the 180 come stock, or did you modify this bike? You get some
that comes stock. Yeah, it's like a one-off thing. So normally Cube's main enduro model is called the Stereo.
Okay.
And they do those in a range. I think they go from sort of 120 mil to 160 mil. Okay. And then where this is a bit of a one-off bike, so they only do the 2 versions of the Fritz. They're both 180 mil, and one is slightly higher spec than the one I've got, basically.
So you still have one. It is titled Race. Does that mean anything specific, or just?
I don't think so. No, I think they just came up with 2 different things. So mine's the Race, and I think the higher rated one is called the SL.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, they got to get your money somehow with something else, right? I mean, what?
Yeah, that's right.
So, let's talk about some upgrades about this bike, because you said you had done some upgrades to this bad boy.
Yeah.
Give me some of the top upgrades you made to this bike.
So I didn't want to go too crazy, because obviously the initial cost of the bike is a fair whack, and you feel a bit crazy if you start throwing money at it. So the first upgrade I went for was just some slightly better tires, a bit more grip. So I went from what did I go from? A Schwalbe Hands Damp to a Schwalbe Magic Mary.
I got the picture over here. I see the Magic Marys over here. Yeah, I've used Schwalbe Schwalbe. I'm pronouncing them incorrectly, but I've used them in the past.
Right.
I do like their tires, and they've gotten even more and more popular lately.
Yeah.
And you're using the Magic Mary. I've heard that name before. What kind of tire would you say? Is that more of an aggressive pattern?
Yeah, it's very aggressive. It's mainly for sort of winter, so it's really good in the mud and on wet routes and rocks and things. It just gives you a bit more confidence.
Okay.
It's been funny weather here recently. It's just got really dry and dusty, so I'm almost tempted to switch back to my other tires.
Doesn't it always rain by you guys? I mean, what the heck?
Usually, yeah, that's it.
So you change it. You're like, I've got the right tire. It always rains here. And you got a drought.
That's it.
Well, what else did you do to this guy over here?
So as well as that, I'm quite a heavy guy. I weigh about 16 stone. I'm probably just over 200 pounds, something like that. And I put a volume spacer in my rear shock.
Okay,
and that's made a huge difference.
Really? Now I did that on my bike. I could shed a little bit of insulation as well, but let's just say that I mainly did it because I wanted to use my bike for a little bit more downhill stuff, and it was bottoming out too much. So is that why you did that? I mean, you still have 180, but damn, but okay.
That's it. Yeah. So I just found it was bottoming out a lot. I was running the pressure at the highest recommended setting I could on that shock, and I just thought, I need to try and do something. So I bought a pack of the volume spacers, and I just put the biggest token in they had, and now it's just perfect. Absolutely brilliant. So,
folks, if you're not familiar with what a volume spacer is, you take your shock. They have them for the front and for the back, and they're usually called tokens. And what happens is this. The can is, let's just say, this big, and this much could have air in it. So now what happens is you put a spacer in here and you fill up some of that gap. I'll try to put some better pictures in here than my fingers, or I'm looking like I'm, So, but what happens is you're taking up some of the volume in the can. So now the beginning part of the travel is still the same suppleness. You don't lose that. But what happens is, since there's less volume, when the shock compresses, it ramps up its stiffness faster. And technically, a lot of companies call this endless travel, because it's getting always getting stiffer before it actually bottoms out like that. And you can put in more tokens. Now, of course, the more tokens you have, the faster it's going to ramp up. So you're losing a little bit of sensitivity in there, depending on how far you go. But depending on your riding style, for Alex, he's hammering this thing. And, based on, the size of the rider, you may want to put some spacers in there. So if you're not sure with what a volume spacer is, maybe that helped. Maybe it got you more confused. Put some notes in and we'll get some people to help you on it. Cool. So you got that going on there. Obviously, you got a dropper seat post. But I'm looking at the dropper seat post. I'm looking at that. You've got a Cube actual lever. So do they make a seat post as well? Or what's the deal with this thing?
Yeah, so that's their stock seat post that just came with the bike, and yeah, it's all right. It's not too bad. It's got it's 120 mil of sort of adjustability you've got there, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's a mechanical one, but yeah, it's the first dropper post I've ever had, and I think it's amazing.
I love
the best
mine.
Invention ever in mountain biking, basically.
Totally, hands down. I mean, I've even watched some videos where some professional cross-country, bikers are starting to put them on there because they're getting to the point where they can make them so light, and the few grams that you're gaining in weight, you're totally making up for in the stability you have in because a lot of cross-country racing is getting a lot more aggressive. And then the aggressive stuff we're doing is just getting freaking off the chart where you got the seat, it's awesome. I'm looking at the Rethnol bars. Is that stock or did you went and you put those on there?
I changed those, yeah. So the bars and the stem were off my old bike. I had a Trek Fuel X, and I just liked the feel of them so much that when I got this bike and I rode it a couple of times, I just swapped them straight over.
Wait, Trek Fuel?
Yeah.
That's more of a cross-country kind of right. I'm like, forgive. Am I incorrect on that one, or because this is quite a drastic change?
Well, yeah, that's it. It's kind of all mountain.
Yeah.
But it is sort of leaning a bit more towards cross-country.
Gotcha.
And yeah, that's the sort of bike that I was riding a lot. And then as I started getting into sort of hammering it down the hills a bit more,
got it.
I just needed a slightly more aggressive bike.
Now, the brakes, I can't tell. I'm trying to zoom in. Are those Hope or those Maguras or what are those?
They are Magura, yeah.
Okay.
Magura MT5s.
Okay. I'm a big fan of Maguras. I have to try to find a way to get them to give me stuff again because I really I used to have their older Gustafs and their older, what is it called? The Lucy's or something like that. I like Magura's stuff. They make quality stuff. And was that stock as well, or did you put those on there?
That was stock.
That was stock?
I was quite surprised because they're 4-pot calipers as well.
Yeah,
so
I noticed that. That's
incredible.
Because I took a look at the picture by your wheel, and I saw the little cylinders that looked almost Hope-like. So I knew they had to be either Hope, but then I saw the handlebars, and I'm like, no, that's Magura, I think. So yeah, well, but you need that if you're gonna do it. What size are the if you know off the top of your head, the rotors? Are they like 180 or 200?
It's 203 on the front and 180 on the rear.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, a lot of people, I try to do the same thing. You usually have a bigger rotor in the front because that's where most of the pressure's coming in. Gotcha.
That's it.
So you like the bike, obviously.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Now, is there anything you don't like about the bike?
Is there anything I don't like about it? I don't know really. I got to say, I'm totally stoked with it and over the moon with it. I think it performs so well. And I almost couldn't believe it when I read the reviews and they were like, yeah, you can pedal this thing up hills, no problem. So I was a bit dubious with that, as you would be with 180 mil of travel. Right. And when it turned up and I took it out for a ride, I was like, it actually works. And I was
Why do you think
shocked.
that? Do you think it's just the geometry of the bike, the linkage? I mean, a lot of us have that same switch on the lockout, but there still has to be more to it. So you think it's just a really well-designed bike?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they must just have the linkage absolutely dialed.
Amazing.
And it seems like, I mean, if you go over to the Cube website and you look at all their bikes, they seem to have the same linkage on every single bike. So they must be doing something there that they're super confident with.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Because, yeah, I mean, you're happy with that. I mean, and I honestly, that was the last thing in the world I would have thought you'd say. But I wouldn't say that in a negative way. Just the amount of travel this bike has, everything has to give someplace. It's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's pretty cool. So that's really good, folks, to know if you are looking for a more full riding bike and you want to lean more towards the downhill enduro space, but you still got your buds that you want to ride with on the weekends, or not for nothing, enduro, remember, between the stages, you got to get from point A to point B. This will kind of help you get there, so that's kind of nice. So not too much you don't like about the bike, but upgrades. We all like upgrades. I mean, you did some upgrades to the bike. You can never upgrade enough. I mean, at some point you get to the point where you just want more. What would you do to this bike to make it better?
So things I'm looking at in the immediate future, I have ordered some volume spacers for my front shock.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because I feel like, again, because I'm fairly heavy, I'm just going through the travel a bit quickly when it's on a really aggressive trail.
Right.
So they're in the post.
Gotcha.
So
and with that much travel, you might as well give it a try because you've got plenty of room to start messing with that. Yeah, that's cool.
Absolutely. And then a dropper post lever. I want to change that because it's a silly, like, you got to push it down rather than push it in with your thumb. You've got to rotate your hand and push the lever down, and it's a little bit awkward.
You know what I'm going to recommend? I mean, I can't say enough good things about the Wolf Tooth one, not only because I have an affiliate link to it, but besides that, honestly, it's just, anyway, it would work on your bike. So if you are in the market for one, which you said you are, at least consider it. I cannot say enough good things about that lever.
Yeah, man, I've looked into it, and it does seem like a really good lever, and I like the. Well, it all just looks really well built, to be honest.
It's like a little tank, dude. It really is, especially for what you're going to do with it. Unfortunately, there'll be some times where the wheels are going to land up, and and you want to make sure something so. Cool. Is that kind of it? You like the wheels on the bike? You already got a 1x system on it. You're running XT, so that's pretty cool. But that's pretty much what you're looking at right now.
Yeah, that's more or less it, man. And I think about upgrading to tubeless at some point. I'm still using tubes at the moment.
Really?
But, still running tubes.
Okay. Wow. All right.
But I haven't
Why?
had any punctures. So.
How come?
Well, because over here, like, the weather changes so much, and different areas you ride in the country, you'd want to change your tires a lot. So that's the main reason. So what I'd be looking at doing is getting a second set of wheels. Yeah. So I'd have like an aggressive set ready for the thick, slippy stuff, and then a dry set essentially.
That's a good point, folks. One of the biggest downsides I found to tubeless is exactly what Alex just said. You can't just change the tires on the fly. I mean, okay, technically you can, but then you have these tires hanging around your garage with this goop in it, and it's just not as easy when you have a tube inside of it. So that is a bit of a pain, exactly. But you got to do what you got to do with that, and maybe in some point you get another set of wheels, and that would be a good idea. That would work. It's an expensive investment, but it would be some way to go,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's interesting because with all this carbon stuff that's coming out, I think it's driving down the price of the regular, like, aluminium rims and things. So
agreed.
Makes a massive difference.
Gotcha.
And I've been looking at a lot of Hope stuff at the moment because that's. It looks slick, yeah. Well, the price over here, it's not so bad. I'm sure, like, over in the States, I'm sure it's probably quite a bit more expensive.
All right, well, I'll give you my Christmas list. There we go.
Yeah, do it.
If God forbid you lost this bike or something happened to it, which I'm never jinxing anybody, so I might have to change this question. But would you go with this bike again, or what would you do? I mean, you definitely seem to like it a lot.
I do. I really like it. I think I would stay with the same bike.
Wow,
but
awesome.
I might invest a bit more and get the sort of the slightly more elite version. So it's got the Fox factory shocks and forks and stuff like that. So slightly better components.
Well, you can say that now because you've invested some time in this bike and you freaking like it. So now you're like, well, I'm gonna love the bike anyway. I might as well, go for it. Good.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. All right, well, folks, today we took a look at Alex's Cube Fritzz. I think it's a freaking cool bike. I didn't even know about this brand, so I learned a lot today. I got to meet a guy over here from the UK. I had a blast doing this. Remember, it is Bear Biking UK. That's Alex's YouTube channel. Take a look at his videos. I'm going to have some links to it. Definitely the guy can bunny hop. Again, I'm going to say it once more time. I'm pretty jealous because he's jumping over freaking army water can things, so it's pretty cool. This was nice. I had a good time talking to you about this, Alex. I really enjoyed talking about your bike.
Thanks, Gene. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it.
Cool. Well, folks, do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel if you can click that button. If you can move the mouse just a little bit, click the button. Watch some of the other videos. We're going to be doing a lot more of these bike checks. I think this is a lot of fun. I'm getting to meet some great people by doing this. That's all we got for you tonight. Okay, keep the party on the pedals. Thank you for having. Thank Alex. I'm thanking to have you with me. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Alex.
Anytime, Gene. That was awesome.
We'll catch everybody later on. Everybody, see you later, my friends.